Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, we are on. I am the Mojo King. He is the great Mike Steph, and we are Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the 19 Media Group. Before we start, I'd like to thank all of you, whether you're watching or listening. Thank you for being here with us. We strive, we thrive because of you. Please like, subscribe, comment, and most definitely tell a friend. How are you today, Mike Steph?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. I know probably people are looking at me like, look, this is Hidden Gems Football, and yet he has all this Met paraphernalia on. I know it's the MLB playoffs, but your team wasn't involved. So what's the problem? Listen, I'm trying to keep a streak going. So, the dashing one must always try to, match. But regardless of that, I'm doing good. How about you, Mo?
I'm just stunned that you don't have Jets paraphernalia on after their big win against Denver. All right. I have to go after the Jets a little bit. All right. Before we jump into the picks for the week, Donnie, why don't you tell us what your one big thing for this week is?
Well, first and foremost, my one real big thing is the fact that this week, I believe, makes 1 year, one full year of Hidden Gems Football. Do you know interesting stat? Do you know last week, week 5, actually was one exact year of the beginning of Hidden Gems Football? We started on week 5 because we figured out like, I think we should do this football thing. And we just got on the road. This year, you got all the previews and everything. But yeah, regardless, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to Mo. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to Hidden Gems Football. 1 year. And hopefully the first of many. That's the first big thing. The second big thing, which is going to be a small little big thing, if that makes sense, is some news came out. Matter of fact, this is courtesy of the Pat McAfee show, which I got a bone to pick with them, but I'll save that until later. Yesterday they had an interview with they had JJ Watt on, and one of the topics that they were talking about was the potential expansion to having teams full time in Europe, and they had a clip of Roger Goodell answering that question. And do you know that Roger Goodell actually copped to the fact that they actually experimented with the schedule this year? Remember last week when we were discussing the Jaguars and the Bills and how that was the Jaguars' second consecutive game in Europe, and how it's going to be a competitive advantage to Jacksonville, being the fact that they was in a different country and assimilated to the time zone, and that would be a disadvantage to the Bills. Even though I went against all of that and picked the Bills to win anyway, guess what? Bills didn't win. Why? I want to believe is the fact that they got off to a slow start because they was not used to the change of time. Now, Roger Goodell actually copped to the fact and said that they were experimenting with the schedule this year, and that was part of the reason why they gave Jacksonville back-to-back weeks, because just in the eventuality that they're going to have a team or two in Europe, the way they would be able to manipulate the schedule to not have so much wear and tear was they would actually have a road trip in Europe instead of going back and forth over the Atlantic. Do you think that was fair to Buffalo for them to play a team that already been over there? The results count for itself. Now, this week, when we talk about the Sunday morning game, at least it'll be on a level playing field because both teams will be coming from the mainland over the Atlantic. But for Roger Goodell to actually admit that they were experimenting with the schedule, I have a hard time swallowing that. Because to me, like I said, that was a competitive disadvantage. And for the NFL being in bed with the gambling sites, with Vegas in itself, where all the billions of dollars involved in wagers on these games, for you to readily admit that, I find it's kind of shady. Do you have any 2 cents to throw into this equation that I just laid out to you?
Well, I hadn't heard the news, so I'm stunned. It's just it's interesting to me that the NFL would do that because it would seem like Major League Baseball or the NBA would have an inside job with that, just because both of those games are played worldwide.
I guess the reason why football would be the leading candidate is because it's one game per week instead of like which go at NBA, you can have back-to-back series, but you have 30 teams going back and forth throughout the week. Same thing with baseball. At least even in baseball, when they usually have that opening series in, let's say, Japan, it's usually a series of three. They usually have 3 games, and then they're finished for the rest of the season. Being the fact that NFL is 1 game per week, there's a way you can kind of manipulate it, as in Goodell just copped to, manipulating the schedule to kind of lessen the wear and tear. So that's probably why they're probably more a leading candidate to do it before the other 2 leagues.
All right, good stuff. All right, speaking of London, over in London, the Baltimore Ravens will be facing the Tennessee Titans. The Ravens are 3-2 and 4-point favorites over the 2-3 Titans. The total is supposed to be 40.5 points. That means that Vegas is projecting the Ravens to score 22.25, while the home team Titans are scoring 18.25. As far as injuries, Baltimore is looking pretty healthy as far as their skill positions. Odell Beckham is questionable with his ankle, but he played last week. He should be good to go. And offensive tackle Morgan Moses is also questionable. On the defensive side, they have a couple of linebackers that are questionable. On the Titans side, Treylon Burks, knee injury, has him questionable, as is the center Aaron Brewer. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game? Can the Ravens win by 4 or more?
I'll say yes. The Ravens are coming off a loss last week to their rivals in Pittsburgh. They coughed up a 10-zip lead, gave up 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, and it got topped off by allowing a 41-yard touchdown pass from Pickett to Pickens with under 2 minutes remaining in the game. Lamar Jackson was okay, but I will not put the blame squarely at his feet because he was victimized by numerous drops. Like the whole receiving core was just dropping the ball like it was made of butter. And they probably could have put that game away early if it wasn't for pretty much the lack of support by his receiving core. Also, I find it hard to believe that the Ravens are going to have back-to-back games, especially in the manner that they lost that game against a division rival, even though, to tell you the truth, their record in Pittsburgh isn't that great. But I find it hard to believe that they're going to have back-to-back horrendous games such as that, even though the change in time and the change in environment might throw a wrench in it. Now, as for the Titans have been as up and down as their record. 1 week, they beat the Bengals 27-3. Now, the week before that, they got beat by the Browns 27-3. And you know why this inconsistency is showing and rearing its ugly head? It's because of their quarterback, Tannehill. Tannehill's been trash. I'm sorry. I feel like this. And I think we might have mentioned it maybe in a preview of the AFC South that they should only give Tannehill a short leash, because this is not a championship team. This isn't a team with Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, you have an aging Derrick Henry, who, interesting stat, is averaging his lowest yards per carry of his career at 3.8 per. Is he washed? I won't say he's washed, but all the years of the wear and tear, all the years of being battered or being a battering ram, starting to catch up to him, and he does not have the quarterback to really allow him to take the pedal off the metal. Is it time for a quarterback change? Who knows? The only advantage that they have with most teams is their quarterback, Mike Vrabel. I mean, their head coach, Mike Vrabel, who will keep you in games just for the fact that he's a tremendous coach. Now, it's not that much of an advantage when he's going against John Harbaugh because John Harbaugh is from the same ilk. I say all that to say this. The Ravens, just for the fact I think they're a better overall team, I would go Ravens money line. That 4 is scaring me. I'll go for the Titans to cover, surprisingly. And that over-under, I'm going to go under because going back to my one big thing, both of these teams are coming from the mainland over to Europe. It's going to be at 9:30. So they're pretty much, their body clocks is on 9:30 in the morning. And they're not, the Titans aren't an explosive team, no matter if Hopkins had his best game of the season with 8 catches and 140 yards.
All right. When I first looked at it, the thing that struck me was that 40.5 points. Because I was like, that looks so low. Until I started looking at the numbers a little closer. Combined, these two teams have played 10 games. 8 of them have fell below that total. Baltimore, their last 3 games, have averaged 18 points, while Tennessee has averaged 15 and a third. That's well under the 40 points. So I'm going under. That is probably my main bet for the week. And I think I'm in line with you as far as what you said as far as the picks. I like Baltimore as far as the money line. I'm nervous about the 4 points because both of these teams have been kind of inconsistent, but especially Tennessee. And in particular, when you talk about Derrick Henry, I don't know if it's Derrick Henry or if it's what they're doing as far as decision-making during the games, because it seems like anytime Tennessee falls behind, they pull Derrick Henry. I think the last game, I think he had 13 carries, if I'm not mistaken. The thing about Derrick Henry is he grinds, and then he breaks one. So I don't know if it's because he's aging, they're doing it, or if his stats are looking bad because of how they're going after the game. Why? When you just pound the ball in, that's what your team does. So I feel like if they get a lead, they actually might win this game. But if Baltimore scores early and scores, like, say, 10 points, this game might get real ugly. So I would be scared to bet the line at all. But if I'm going to go, I don't know. They should keep it close, and Henry should. I think Henry should have a pretty decent game as long as the game's close.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you said if they get, let's say they get a 10-point lead, they should be able to. It might be able to get ugly. Now the question at hand is, do you believe that Tennessee has a better offense than Pittsburgh? Because they did have a 10-point lead against Pittsburgh, and they coughed that lead up. All
right, but just think about this. They coughed the lead up. They never scored again. That's the real problem. Pittsburgh's offense is atrocious. Tennessee, when they feel like they have to throw the ball all the time, their offense is atrocious. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. I think they could come back from 10-point deficit if they give the ball to Derrick Henry, but that's not what they've been doing so far this season. Derrick Henry is suddenly not become a bell cow, and I'm at a loss for words as to why that is. I think that they should really let him prove that he can't do it before they change motives, especially when they're relying on Tannehill.
Are you ready to step up your style without compromising the planet? Introducing the exciting partnership between BLUEVIEW Footwear and the 19 Media Group Network. Just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 to start your sustainable style journey. Our friends over at BLUEVIEW Footwear are renowned for introducing the world's first fully biodegradable sneaker. By using plant-based plastics, they are leading a revolution in cleaner materials and manufacturing. They have sleek and contemporary styles that cater to a wide range of tastes. BLUEVIEW Footwear believes that fashion and sustainability can coexist harmoniously. Explore their incredible collection of eco-friendly footwear by visiting bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19. If you let us know you made a purchase, we'll shout you out on our next show. Again, just visit bit.ly/BLUEVIEW19 today, and you'll see the ultimate collaboration of fashion, sustainability, and media excellence.
All right, let's move on to the later Sunday games stateside and talk some survivor potential picks. First game up we have is the 1-4 Arizona Cardinals. They are going to face the Los Angeles Rams, who are 2-3. The Rams are 7-point favorites. The total is projected to be 48.5 points. That means that Vegas is saying that the Arizona Cardinals will score 20.75 points, while the Rams will score 27.75 points. As far as injuries, there is a big one for Arizona. James Conner was placed on the injured reserve due to his knee injury. Amari DeMercado is his likely replacement. He actually had a pretty good half after Conner was hurt. He had 10 rushes, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. And Marquise Brown, wide receiver, did not practice Wednesday due to illness. I assume he's going to play. The Rams have a big plus that came back. Cooper Kupp came back last week and is looking healthy. Mike Steph, what do you think about this? Will the Rams win by a touchdown or more?
Wow. I'm going to give my picks first before I get into my quasi analysis. The 48.5. I'm going to go under. I do not believe the Rams are going to cover that 7. So I got the Arizona Cardinals against the spread. And as for the money line, I'm going to go to Rams because the Rams right now with the loss of James Conner and the return of Cooper Kupp, Rams just have more firepower than the Cardinals. Now, the Rams are coming off a hard-fought loss last week against the undefeated Eagles at home. They, like you said, they did get the return of Cooper Kupp, who had 8 catches for 118 yards and did not look like he did not miss a beat at all. Now, you pair him up with the outstanding rookie, Puka Nacua, who had an average game for him, 7 catches and 71 yards. Do you know that 71 yards is the lowest output of the season? And he's a rookie? Like, it's almost like they swapped it. It's like, all right, yeah, now Cooper's back in the mix. So now he's going to play the opposite side. But now you pretty much got 2 Cooper Kupps damn near. Because Nacua was pretty much doing a damn good impersonation of Kupp. Now, here's the bad news. Matthew Stafford has been beat up this season. I believe he had a problem with the hip a couple weeks ago. Last week, he was deemed healthy, but, he still wasn't 100%. And last 3 games, Matthew Stafford has been sacked 12 times. How much of a beating is he taking, and how much of a beating can he withstand? Now, even though probably a lot of it was garbage time last week with Arizona. Arizona did have 3 sacks last week. Arizona has been able to put pressure on the quarterback this season. Now, for the Cardinals, like you said, James Conner, he's out for the foreseeable future. But even though I haven't heard anything as of this recording, do you know that Kyler Murray is eligible to come off the PUP list? Have you heard anything about him practicing this week?
No, sir. I haven't heard a peep about him.
Okay. Well, all that being said, everything's pointing toward the Rams. So yeah, the Rams for the money line, Arizona to cover, and the over/under, I'm going under.
All right. Well, first I'm going to talk Survivor because this is a strategy debate. There's probably not too many times you're going to want to take the Rams. So this is one of the times that they look like a heavy favorite. So a lot of people are going to pick the Rams this week, hope they squeak by with them, and save one of the big teams for later down the road. Generally speaking, I don't like the idea of doing that. I like to pick the sure wins that I feel just are really safe and worry about the rest later because you never know what injuries are going to happen. You never know what team is going to turn around. Like, before last week, I think everybody would have been like, hey, we'll go against the Bears every week. And after last week, nobody wants to go against the Bears. So I'd rather do it that way, which is the reason I'm not touching this game. Yes, the Rams should win. Yes, the Rams have more talent, especially with that wide receiver duo. And the Cardinals haven't been playing particularly close these last 2 weeks. But the thing is, they played against the 49ers and got whooped. Kind of expected. Playing against the Bengals and getting whooped doesn't seem reasonable this year, but Cincy's defense has looked really good. How you gave up 34 points to Limping Joe, I'm not exactly sure. So I feel like Arizona could keep this competitive. So if you made me pick the spread, I would go with Arizona, but I don't feel too comfortable about it because I could see the game technically being close and the Rams winning by 10. I don't think I would touch this game at all. If you put a gun into my head, I'd probably go under, but I don't like this game at all. I'm completely ignoring this game for my betting sleeve. I probably won't even touch this game in Survivor. Like, I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable with this game at all.
Halloween came early for you, huh? You scared?
I am. 2 games so far, and I'm scared of both of them.
Boo.
Hey, guess what? Not scared of this game, though.
You know, you should have saved this for last, but we'll go. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I see that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles are headed to New York to face the 2-3 New York Jets. The Eagles are 7-point favorites. The total is 40.5 points. That means that Vegas is saying that Philadelphia will win with 23.25 points, while the Jets will lose with 16.25 points. But injuries say that on the Philadelphia side, on the defensive side, they got a couple of things to worry about. Fletcher Cox missed last week and is questionable for this week with a back injury. And Darius Slay is nursing a knee injury. He is questionable as well. On the Jets side, they do have a couple minor injuries themselves. Offensive tackle Michael Benton is questionable, as is cornerback DJ Reed. Mike Steph, I got to say, I was a little surprised by the spread. I would have thought that the Eagles would actually be more than 7-point favorites. And I don't even mean to be that funny, funny on that one. Like, I'm really surprised. What do you say about this game, Mike Steph?
You're funny. You're real funny. Okay. All right. In all seriousness, I'm a little concerned about this game from an offensive perspective, offensive protection perspective. As you said, Mikael Becton, he's questionable. We lost our right guard, AVT, Elijah Vera Tucker, for the season with the Achilles tear. So that's pretty much 2/5 of our offensive line that's questionable. And with the ferociousness of the Phillies front four, us having a hobble offensive line does not look good for Zach Wilson. Now, Breece Hall, he was fed. The restrictions are off, baby. And last week, 22 carries for 177 yards, 1 touchdown, a long touchdown of 70-plus yards. The positive thing, normally, when you have new additions to your offensive line, it's usually easier to run the ball than to pass the ball, because run blocking, all you got to do is just tell them, block and go forward. You're not in a passive position to have it to protect. So that combination of maybe tweaking the offensive game plan to pretty much concentrate on the run and Breece eating bodes well. Now, on the opposite end, the Eagles are like undefeated. They're not only undefeated this season. Do you know that they're undefeated against the Jets? They're 12-0 in history against the Jets. Yeah, we have never beaten Philly. Now, this is where my bravado has kind of been rebuilt, because, we're coming off a win, albeit against Denver. But yeah, Sean Payton got exactly what he needed. He got humble. And if you don't get that, I refer you to the Salty Door to Mike Steph this past weekend, because this is a family show and that is not. So with all that being said, Jalen Hurts, that tush push, something has to happen. That's all I'm going to say. That can't happen. That can't continue to happen against our team. Somebody has to take one for the team. Just, I'm not saying bounty gate or something, but if he makes that head exposed, got to make him pay. Got to bring that. Yeah. Listen. Look. I can't get fined for saying that. So, which go? Let's get to the nook and cranny, the brass tacks, if you will. That's 7. Have they really covered that much this season? I mean, they won by 5 against New England. We see how New England's been. They won by 6 over Minnesota. You see how Minnesota's been. The one blowout that they had was against Tampa, and that was on a Monday night. Even though they beat the Rams by 9, that game was way closer than the score indicates, 23-14. Did they really blow them out? What they did was play keep away in the second half. The time of possession was lopsided in the second half, and that's how they won that game. But when the Rams was on the field, the Rams were scoring. So that's 7. I have faith in my New York Jets to keep it close. So I'm going to say the Jets are going to cover the spread. You know what? Just to cover the spread, the Jets to shock the world because it's time. It's time. 12-0 will not be an unlucky 13. The Jets to go into the bye on a 2-game winning streak. Yes, I'm speaking with my heart, not my mind, not my gut. Just to cover the spread. Jets money line. Over under. I'm going over. I mean, we scored 31 points last week. Albeit with 5 field goals. That means we got into the red zone plenty of times. So I reiterate. Just to cover the spread. Just money line. I'm going to go over. Because it's at home. You know what? I reserve the right to change my mind. Under. For this reason. It's supposed to be a rainstorm this weekend. Perhaps nor'easter conditions. And I think that always benefits the underdog. So, just money line, just to cover, under. Headshots, baby.
All right. Before I get into the meat of the argument, isn't it supposed to rain on Saturday, not Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
All right.
Going into Monday morning.
They need to be playing in a hurricane for this game to stay close. See, if I just looked at the score last week and didn't watch the game, I would think, hey, maybe the Jets could score a couple of touchdowns on offense. But I saw Zach Wilson again. And it turned out that the half that he had in the second half against Kansas City was a mirage. Not shocking to anybody. It shouldn't have been. It kind of was shocking to me because I had him on my fantasy team. Let's not even talk about it right now. Putting your faith in Zach Wilson is going to automatically disappoint you. The Eagles are going to win. The Eagles are going to win by a lot. The question is that 40.5. I feel like the Jets defense is good enough to keep them under 30. The Jets are not scoring more than 10 points. A defense touchdown and one of your field goals. Unless, can we see a Trevor Siemian sighting? Trevor. Then we'll go over. But otherwise, Eagles -7. Lock it in. Take it as a survivor pick. We're just going to ride against the Jets pretty much the whole time. By the way, in case you were curious about me last week, I was just joking about taking Denver out in survivor. I did not do that because I'm not completely insane.
You really taking? Matter of fact, let's put you on the spot. Are you using the Eagles as your survivor pick?
Oh, my one survivor pick?
Yeah, your survivor pick.
All right. So, first of all, I have multiple survivors. Okay, I have multiple ones.
How convenient.
Wait, so listen. So we're not recording a Thursday night game. Thursday night is getting some of them because the Chiefs are playing. The Buffalo, I believe my main selection was Buffalo only because I picked Philadelphia in a separate week.
Isn't that special?
But Philadelphia is getting many of my multiple picks. So it's going Buffalo, Philadelphia, Kansas City. And
I need to kick him out the state of New York.
Buffalo is part of the state of New York. All right. Speaking of Buffalo, the New York Giants are heading over to Buffalo to face the Bills. The Giants are 1-4, and they are 14-point underdogs to the 3-2 Buffalo Bills. The over-under is 44.5 points, which means that Vegas is expecting the New York Giants to score 15.25 points, while the Bills score 29.25 points. As far as injuries, the Giants, as well as not having a very good season so far, are facing multiple of injuries. Daniel Jones has a neck problem. He is not practicing. Dable is optimistic. Of course, Dable was also optimistic on Saquon Barkley 1 week after his ankle injury. But it is noted that Daniel Jones did suffer a neck injury, I believe, last year or the season before that made him miss his last 5-6 games. They're saying it's not nearly as serious. I spoke of Saquon Barkley before. He is questionable with his ankle injury. This is the week that he was projected to come back, so we'll see. But he's still practicing limited only. And Darren Waller did not practice on Wednesday with the groin injury, but he said that was basically a veteran's break.
Veteran's break, yeah, okay, yeah.
Hey, that's what he says.
That's South Beach. Groin injury? Yeah, okay.
Well, having some fun over there. On Buffalo's side, their defensive injuries are really stacking up. Now Matt Milano is also on injury reserve. He goes with Tre'Davious White now. So the linebacker is out for at least the next 4 games. I think he's out for the season with the leg injury.
Oh, wow.
And on their offensive side, both of their 2-headed tight end connection is dinged up. Dawson Knox has a wrist injury and has been limited through practice. And Dalton Kincaid had a concussion, and he is still in concussion protocol. All right, Mike Steph, what do you think about this game? 14 points for Buffalo. Do you think that they cover?
There's 2 things that I'm going to say when it comes to the Giants. One, I really, really, really wish and hope that they are more competitive, because it really puts me in a very awkward position to have to talk about these Giants and really can't grasp or can't come up with anything positive, on top of me refraining from the jokes and slander that I'm normally accustomed to giving the Giants. I'll say this. Coach Dable, tooting his own. I was tooting his horn last year. I was saying, yeah, he was coach of the year, which he ended up being. He got the most out of that squad. This year, I'm doing a total 180 right now, because the way he's handling his quarterback, I believe, is part of the reason why Daniel Jones is out with injury right now. First game, they're getting blown out by Dallas. Did he pull Daniel Jones like, you know what, we're going to live to fight another day? No, he sent his butt up out there. Same thing against San Francisco. Yeah, I know the game was kind of closer than the score indicated, but he was getting beat up. Sent them out of there. Last week, same thing. With a neck injury, especially with somebody who has a history of neck injuries, you're supposed to take extreme precaution in not putting him in harm's way, and he's still not ruling him out. It's almost like, is he giving the other team some money under the table to try to take out this $40 million investment so he don't have to have blood on his hands? Like, all jokes aside, there's been news reports that it's gotten worse throughout the week, because it's gotten worse whenever he has contact, whenever it moves. That's not trending toward, yeah, it's a possibility that he's going to play. That's trending to, you know what? Maybe even if nothing shows up on the MRI, the CAT scan, or whatever, let's hold him out for his own safety. Tyrod Taylor's getting a check for a reason. On top of the fact that their offensive line is beat up and just let everybody through. I mean, it's matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna bottom line this. The Giants scored their first touchdown of the first half last week in week 5. And it wasn't even they have yet to score an offensive touchdown in the first half this season. The Bills, coming off that loss, I'm quite sure they want to avenge that, because last time they was in Buffalo, they put up 48 against a better team than the Giants. So, Bills to cover the spread. Bills money line. And that over-under, I could very easily see it 35-10. My gut is telling me to go under, but I'll go over. The Bills are going to be out for blood because they got royally screwed overseas last week. So, yeah, so that's my pick.
Yeah. You know, when I first looked at it, I was like, 14 is so big. And then especially when I did the totals, 15, 29 points, I was like, that's tough. But then I looked at what Buffalo has done on their 3 victories. They defeated Miami by 28. They defeated Washington by 34. And they defeated the Raiders by 28. Their 3 wins, they have absolutely demolished the teams they played against. And to tell you the truth, I would pick any of those teams over the Giants, how things are looking for the Giants right now. So I'm with you. I'm going to go even with the points, the 14 points. This is the premier survivor pick as far as I'm concerned. You know, we're getting close to the time that maybe you've selected Buffalo already and you have to make options. But if you haven't, I think this is the time to pick Buffalo. And then the 44.5, I'll go over. One last survivor note. You might want to look at the schedule next week because there are a lot of bye weeks. And there are a couple of games that just...
Oh, matter of fact, next week, it'll be Dolphins at Eagles. Huh? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Shoot, the Eagles going to come off a loss. They're going to be out for blood.
I like that. All right, before we get out of here, there are two more games that have pretty big spreads that, you know, maybe for Survivor, our listeners might want to check out or betting selections. So quickly, do you have any takes on these two games? San Francisco is going to Cleveland. San Francisco is a 7-point favorite. The total, and I had to check this twice to make sure I read it right, is 37.5 points. I think Deshaun Watson may not be playing this week. And the other game is the Carolina Panthers are heading to Miami to face the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 13.5-point favorites. The total there is projected at 48.5. Do you have any takes on either San Francisco versus Cleveland or Carolina versus Miami?
Well, San Francisco versus Cleveland, that over under 37, I would still go over because San Francisco is throttling teams, and Cleveland they got a good defense, but I don't think their defense is going to hold up against San Francisco. San Francisco just has so many options, and they just throttle, which go at Dallas 42-10. So what they're going to do to Cleveland? The only reason I could think of them saying is maybe there's weather-related problems because I think there's something going on in the Midwest that's even going to affect games this weekend. That's the only thing I could think of. But if everything is equal, I'll go over with that. Spread, matter of fact, I'll even go San Francisco over the spread with the spread. As for the Dolphins and Panthers, that 13.5 spread, A-Chain is been put on IR for the Dolphins, you know, rookie sensation, but they still got the return of Wilson. They got Mostert, so the Panthers have been the Panthers. So I would go Dolphins money line. I probably would stay away from the spread.
Yeah, again, we're right in line. It's clearly San Francisco and Miami. They're easy wins, so they are. Although I would say in Survivor, I probably wouldn't take San Francisco in this game because Cleveland's not horrible, and I usually try to take I usually just go against horrible teams. So I probably would skip over San Francisco if I could. But San Francisco and Miami are clearly Survivor picks. But like I said, my primary one is probably going to be Buffalo or Philadelphia.
I got one other game real quick.
All right.
Cowboys and the Chargers, the Underachievement Bowl, the Monday night game. You know, Cowboys at Chargers. The line is Cowboys minus 2.5, over under 50.5. Normally, I would go with the Chargers, but you know who their coach is, Staley. So I just, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. I would actually take the Cowboys with the spread, 2.5, because like why not? But that over under that has a potential to be a bar burger. So yeah, the underachievement bowl.
Yeah, just got to get Minnesota in there to play the winner.
Look, Minnesota's not even underachieving. Minnesota is what they were. I told y'all last year, Minnesota, that was a mirage. You talk about that's a mirage. That was a mirage. 1-5.
All right, let's get out of here before we start slandering more teams. Mike Steph, take us out.
Okay, well, this has been another edition, our anniversary edition, 1 week late of Hidden Gems Football. You know, and like Mo said at the beginning, I will say at the end, I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making us the football show y'all choose to view and y'all choose to listen to. So with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football has been a part of 19 Media Group. Goodbye. See you next week.
We're number one. 1 year. No, this way. 1 year.
Yeah.
Still don't know.
Well, actually, beginning of year 2.
2 years.
Yeah, see?
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
I have my spotted tea. Waiting for the London game.
Which means that they won't go over the 40.5 because the Jets. All right.
That was a alarm calling you on your BS.
that was the alarm saying you might as well go over because Philadelphia's going to score more than 30. Let's get away from the ridiculous that are the Jets. The Buffalo Bills are 3-2, and they are the home favorites with the New York Giants coming in. And maybe I should change the ticker. Nobody will ever notice. Maybe I'll edit out. Maybe I won't. All right. You ready?
Ready as I'm going to be.
I always want to have a laugh at it right when we start.